tropical system set to become a major hurricane. Many of the models point to a direct hit on Florida. But first, Hurricane Fiona, still a monster storm tonight, slamming Bermuda after hammering Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic. Canada will get hit next. Fiona barreling up the Atlantic, the strongest hurricane ever this far north, with 125-mile-an-hour winds and set to strike eastern Canada with record force. Tonight, Halifax, Nova Scotia under a very rare hurricane warning. The hurricane pounding Bermuda with heavy rains overnight and all day, powerful winds lashing the coast, knocking out power to much of the island. Fiona traveled parallel to the east coast all the way north, but this new tropical depression now set.
We have a lot of problem right now with those things. Now let's listen our Prime Minister.
I'm joined today by Ministers Blair, LeBlanc, and Anand, as well as ministers from regions affected by the storm. Hurricane Fiona is currently having a terrible impact across Atlantic Canada and eastern Quebec. We're seeing devastating images come out of Port-au-Basque. PEI has experienced storm damage like they've never seen. Cape Breton is being hit hard too, as is Quebec. There have been evacuation orders issued. Hundreds of thousands of people are without power. There are reports of roads washed out and homes destroyed. We've all seen the images. This is a very powerful and dangerous storm. We're thinking first and foremost of the people who've had a terrifying past 12 hours. People have seen their homes washed away, seen the winds rip schools, roofs off. And as Canadians, as we always do in times of difficulty, we will be there for each other. Les Canadiens pensent à tous ceux qui sont touchés par l'ouragan Fiona, qui a des effets dévastateurs dans les provinces de l'Atlantique et dans l'est du Québec, particulièrement aux îles de la Madeleine. Il y a des gens qui voient leur maison détruite, des gens qui sont très inquiets. On va être là pour vous. On continue de suivre la situation de très près et, bien sûr, le gouvernement fédéral est là pour offrir du soutien aux provinces avec des ressources additionnelles. I will, of course, no longer be attending the state funeral in Japan, and our government is fully engaged in supporting Canadians through this major storm. I've spoken with Premiers Fury, King, Higgs, Houston, and Legault. I've told them that if there is anything the federal government can do to help, we will be there. Earlier today, I convened the Incident Response Group, and our government is standing ready to support provinces with any necessary resources. We've approved Nova Scotia's request for federal assistance and will deploy the Canadian Armed Forces to assist in assessment and cleanup and stand ready to do more. We're seeing reports of significant damage in the region, and recovery is going to be a big effort. We will be there to support every step of the way. I know Canadians across the country, as always, want to help. So we're announcing that we will match any Red Cross donations Canadians and corporations make over the next 30 days. Je sais que les Canadiens à travers le pays veulent aider, alors c'est pourquoi on va égaler les dons offerts à la Croix-Rouge canadienne pour l'ouragan Fiona pendant les 30 prochains jours. However, today and tomorrow, the situation remains very dangerous. Please, stay safe, listen carefully to local authorities, and look out for each other. On voit déjà beaucoup de dommages et la situation reste critique aujourd'hui et demain. J'encourage tout le monde à continuer d'écouter les autorités locales et de faire tout ce qu'il faut pour rester en sécurité. Je vais maintenant passer la parole au ministre Blair. Bill.
Thank you very much, Prime Minister, and bon après-midi tout le monde. Let me begin by joining the Prime Minister in expressing that our thoughts are with Canadians in Atlantic Canada and Quebec as they struggle through the impacts of Hurricane Fiona. At approximately 3:48 a.m. this morning, Post-tropical storm Fiona made landfall between Canso and Guysborough, Nova Scotia, and as the storm tracked northward, with its high winds, its very heavy rainfall and storm surges, it has had a devastating impact across the Maritimes, Quebec, and Newfoundland, Labrador. The storm is not yet passed. It remains a dangerous storm, but as it's expected to track northwards today, it will lose strength and remain a post-tropical cyclone in the northeast corner of the Gulf of St. Lawrence by Sunday morning. And as we move from response to the storm into a period of recovery, I want to assure all Canadians and the Prime Minister that my colleagues and all of our officials right across the federal government, in every department and in every ministry, have been fully engaged in the response and will be there throughout the recovery. I've been in touch with my provincial counterparts, and our government's message is clear. Whatever you need, we will be there with you, we will be there for you, and we will deliver. I've also spoken with our Atlantic MPs and members of the opposition because we know that in an emergency, we are all on one team, and we all must work together in the best interest of keeping Canadians safe. We are seeing severe damages to homes, critical public infrastructure, roads, and our airports. A significant number of trees are down right across the region. And we know the impacts of the power grid are still being assessed, but are in fact very extensive. We've heard from all of the provinces, and as they assess the damage, we anticipate that there will be several requests for federal assistance. We have been preparing and working with them and positioning our resources to mobilize over the past number of days as we followed Fiona's course so that we could move quickly when the requests came in. And as the Prime Minister earlier mentioned, today I and Minister Anand approved for federal assistance from the Government of Canada to the province of Nova Scotia. Canadian Armed Forces personnel will be deployed to assist with the debris removal and to restore transportation links. And Canadian Armed Forces aerial assets will be used to get a better sense of the damage. And if the costs of the recovery are too much for any province to bear,